Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this double pocket card. Okay, a couple of pockets at the front there for the tags. Mine are actually bookmarkers. There are actually 3 pockets here. I have left open the bit right at the back there. Oops, hold on. Okay, so behind that pink there's another pocket. And the reason I've left that is because if you wanted to pop a gift card in there, you could make another one of these, attach the gift card to it with a glue dot, and then slide it in there, with the ribbon obviously, and then the recipient will know that you pull on all 3 ribbons. So I think that's a pretty good idea. I have seen a video where somebody has done like 3 of these pockets, and I have seen plenty of videos where that has been the card. They have stopped there, whereas I put mine on an actual card base. So the choice is yours. I'm going to change my colour scheme. I'm going to be using Pool Party instead of Soft Sea Foam, and the designer series paper I'm using is called Painted Seasons, and it's the new one that's available as one of the gifts during celebration up until the end of March now, so not that much longer to go. I just love this design. I love the colour combination of it, and absolutely super. So I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that you need. I have done metric on this one as well. Please just have a look at it and double check to make sure that it is actually making sense. Right, okay, so the designer series paper measures 7 3/4 inches by 11 inches, which is 19.6 by 28 centimetres. And then a card base in Pool Party, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 20.9 by 14.6 centimetres. Then a Whisper White layer, which will be going inside the card, that measures 3 7/8 inches by 5.5 inches, which is 9.8 by 14 centimetres. And then 2 pieces of Pool Party, and these are for the bookmarks, and they should measure 2 inches by 5.5 inches, which is 5 centimetres by 14 centimetres. And then 2 pieces of Whisper White that are going to be going on top of the bookmarks, and they should measure 1 3/4 inches by 4 5/8 inches, which is 4.4 by 11.7 centimetres. And then for the main sentiment on the front, you need a piece of Whisper White, which is approximately 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, or 9 by 9 centimetres. And then a piece of, that was Whisper White, piece of cardstock. I've written my instructions back to front. Piece of Pool Party rather, that measures about 3 inches by 4 inches, which is 7.5 by 10 centimetres. And a piece of Whisper White, which measures 1 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches, which is 4.5 by 9 centimetres. All the measurements will be in the box below the video, but you have to be watching the video on YouTube to have access to that box. So what do we need to do? That's stamping, that's die cutting, that's stamping, that's punching, and that's stamping, and that's stamping. So I think we do the stamping first. That was die cutting, that one. Right, so let's do the bookmarks first. The sentiments I'm using, let's show you from here. One is from Enjoy Life. I'm using this one, which says, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, which I thought was rather nice. And I'm also going to be using that little flower stamp as well. And then from this stamp set I'm using that there for the other bookmark, which says, I have made you and I will carry you, I will sustain you and I will rescue you. And I'm going to be using that, and also God is love there, and also the little corner stamp there. I think I am using 2 colours for inks, and they are going to be Lemon Lime Twist and Pool Party. So let's get this done first. Right, the first bit I'm going to do is I am going to do the sentiment, or the, it's like a quote really that's inside. Let's get one of them out. Okay, this is the one from Enjoy Life, and I've done the flowers top and bottom. So what I did was I did the sentiment first, and I used my, let's see how far, oh good, and I used my grid paper so that I could make sure that the gap there is the same as there, and therefore I know halfway up, that one there, which I'm going to make a pencil mark on so that I don't have to keep checking. Okay, that's halfway. So then when I'm stamping I will make that more or less halfway. So what colour? That was a contrast colour. So contrast is going to be that one. I think I'd better reverse that though, because I want the flowers in green. Okay. Now I know the precious privilege line is the middle of this quote, so I'm just going to line up with that. There we go. And then for, no, not that one. For this one I am using Pool Party again. And I just have to guess which is halfway here. I also have to guess whether I'm straight or not. There we go, that's good. Not really very straight, is it? Shall we try again? I'm sure I can do better than that. Right, I might get my head in the screen this time. I think that's right, isn't it? So that's that one. Now I want the flowers top and bottom, and that I'm going to do in Lemon Lime Twist. And this is nice and easy because it's photopolymer, and I just did 3. I always start off in the middle, then do the 2 outside ones. This is a lovely colour combo. So there's that one. So let's do this one. If you can hear a little tinkling noise, I've got my ceiling fan on. Would you believe it? We're on the 26th of February, and the weather is so brilliant out there that I've got the fan on the go. Right, now this one, which is going to be the scroll, I'm going to do that in fact, I suppose that ought to be green, isn't it? But no, I don't want to, because I'm going to use Pool Party for the paper. So no, we'll stick with it, this one. Let's just do this sideways. I'm going to be die cutting this with an oval, so I think it'll be right to do that sideways. So that, and then for the little piece, that's going to be the contrast colour. There is a die for this, but I do actually fussy cut it because I don't want to have any of the white around it. If you can't stand fussy cutting, then by all means just use your die. It's not a big deal. And then the last one is this. And I'm going to use blue again. No, let's go for green. I did 2 top corners. And then I did a row of the plants at the bottoms. So if I move that about that's about in the centre. So I can start the first one there. This is a lovely little stamp for adding a bit of decoration. Come back. Right, I think that is all the stamping that I need to do. I've probably forgotten something, knowing me. Oh, come on, don't give me a hard time. That's better. Right, so what we need to do is the bits that are ready, let's put them together as we go. Oh, I could have put my tape on there. Well, to save a bit of time, come on, I'm just going to use Tombow. Hope I haven't forgotten how to do it with such big pieces. Since I went back to using the tear and tape, I have really preferred using that for putting my layers. There we go. Right, so you need to die cut that. That's a die cut. They're punches. Right, so let me get the big shot up. So the dies that I'm using are from the Cross of Hope, which is the dies that go with the Hold On to Hope stamp set. I'm going to be using the banner. From the Layering Ovals, I'm going to be using the largest, so that's number 7. And from the Stitched Shaped Framelits, I'm using number 4 of the ovals, which is the largest of those. So if we can get, and there is a right and wrong way of this banner. It won't fit one way. It's quite easy to tell which way is right and which one's wrong. So there's that for that one, and I'll come back and do that, I think. Let me just check that the banner is correct. Oh, maybe not. One suggestion for you is when you try to do about the, well, any stamps really that you're going to be die cutting, and you're using a light ink, like I was using soft sea foam for the card that I've shown you. I wanted this particular stamp, the God Is Love, to come up darker than what it normally, well, darker than what soft sea foam normally stamps as just one stamp. So I used it on my Stamparatus, and it worked brilliantly because I was able to keep stamping it, re-ink, stamp it, re-ink, stamp it, and it came up really well. I was very pleased. So if you have a Stamparatus and you want to use a light colour, that's the way to get the best of it. Right, now I'm just going to get this so that I've got the gap here towards the bottom, because I'm going to put the banner across there. God, for a moment now I thought I'd got to put my die the wrong way. And that looks, crikey, that looks as if it's cracking. Have to keep an eye on that. And there we go, that's that. So that's everything that we needed to do with the big shot. So let's make our, put our bits together. This one, or these rather, these two, first of all you need to punch the ends with your scallop tag topper punch. Okay, so that's those. And then the bottom two I use on the corner, the triple, oh, I can't think what they call it. Is it just a triple punch? Triple corner? I'll put the correct name in the box below the video anyway. Right, while I'm doing this, I'm also going to do the two bottom corners. That's better. Don't know what I did wrong there. With the Painted Season stamp set, I have seen some work where people have, where crafters have actually stamped their own designer series paper, and they've come up with something very, very similar to this. It's beautiful, really is lovely. Right, so now these can go onto here with Tombow. leave the ribbons to last on these. There we go, just make sure you've got the same edge all the way round. Those, and then this one, the banner I pop up on dimensionals. Okay, so there's that. Now here's the banner that I did earlier, the one that I've done fussy cutting with. Just want to show you the two. Okay, so that's what it looks like if you don't fussy cut it. All that happens is you just covering up a bit of your stamp underneath, and that one you just get your green line going up to the plants. So the choice is really yours. That one I will be fussy cutting later because I personally do prefer the fussy cut one. Although it is more difficult to get the dimensionals on because it's just about it's a tad wider than these big dimensionals. And then I just put little ones on each end. Okay. I'm going to hold this up to get the position correct. There we go. So that's everything now apart from the ribbons, apart from doing this bit. So I'm going to be using my scoreboard, I think, for this. If you want to use your trimmer, that's your preferred method, that's fine. Okay. Now, first thing is you have to decide which you want as your main design, and this is what I'm calling the main design, okay? Not this little one here. Whichever you want as your main design, and that's going to be mine, you've got to have it face down. Okay? And with your, if you're using your scoreboard, you need a scorer. And on this side, which is the portrait side, you need to score at 3 7/8 of an inch, 3 7/8 inches, or 9.8 centimeters. But do remember that this is paper, so don't score too hard, otherwise you will go straight through. And then if you turn it 90 degrees so that you're on the landscape side, and then you need to score at 5.5 inches, which is 14 centimeters. Okay. And I would recommend that you avoid a directional pattern, because you will have one of these up the right way and the other one will be upside down, and I can show you that later. What did I do with my other? Oh, there it is. Let's pop that away before that goes walkabouts. Right, now that you've done this, keeping the wrong side towards you, where you've got a fold along here, you need to cut up to there. Now the reason I'm not saying put it into your trimmer to cut is because I'm recommending that you cut that out as a mitre, as if you were making a box. And the reason I say that is because it makes it fold together a lot easier. The only downside of doing it that way is if you leave your card like this, that is, you're not going to put it on a base card like I have, that's where you'll cut, that's the cut line there. Okay, yeah, you can see that it's not particularly straight, which is okay for me because I put it onto a card and it gets buried. But if you want to keep it like this, not such a good idea. I should have thought about whether that's at the top or the bottom. No, can't work that out. I'd have to actually do it. So I'm going to use my big scissors for this. Oh, you can see the score line beautifully there. So I'm going to cut on this side up to the centre point there. Do that one first and I'll come back and show you what I do with the other one. Okay, right to the centre. Now obviously it's not quite so easy to cut from there, so I'm turning mine over and I can still see my score line there. So again, I'm going to cut this side of it. So that score line will actually be cut off totally. Right, and I will just show you exactly the size of the piece I have cut off. Let's turn it over, it's easier for you. Okay, so that's the wedge that I've cut out from it. Oh, that's better, yes, you can see it there as well. Okay. Right, now what you need to do is, with your cut here on your left hand side, on this top corner, you need to mark in 2.5 inches and 2.5 inches down. Just mark that with a pencil. Now I'm going to be using, can you see me doing along here? I've got icons on my screen, so I think you can see what I'm doing here. So that's my 2.5 inches. If I turn this round this way, you can see 2.5 inches here as well. So I line that up to 2.5 inches, and that's 2.5. Okay, so that's my 2 pencil marks. And then for the diagonally opposite corner, this one here, now your score line there is already on 3 7/8 of an inch, but just make a little pencil mark on this side of your valley score mark. Okay, it's just a tad, it's less than 1/8 of an inch. Now you want to measure 3 7/8 inches up this way. Okay, so pop that in, and 3 7/8. Okay, so on this one I've got my 2 pencil marks there. So that's going to be a corner and that's going to be a corner. As you know, I do like to have score lines to fold on. So I'm bringing my trimmer back. It just makes you get nice, much nicer folds. If you want to just fold over so that is there and you fold that over, by all means go for it. I've marked this 6 inches on my scoreboard, which makes doing jobs like this really easy. If you're using your trimmer, obviously you just line this up on your track. But I'm going to put that pencil mark there, and I'm making that pencil mark on my 6-inch line as well. And then I'm just going to do a gentle little score. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on this one here. That's going into 6 inches, and I'm swinging that into 6 inches. Can you see both of those? That one, yep. And you can see that one as well. That's good. Okay, so let's score that one as well. Again, gently. So you should find that that score line probably won't meet up with that score line, which is what you want. Oops. so what we're going to do next is we're going to remove our pencil marks. There we go. And first of all we're going to fold this one over, and it's enough to burnish it with your fingers, and then we're going to turn it and fold this one over. Make sure that you are going straight. Mine looks as if I didn't line it up quite correctly, but what you need to make sure is that that line on your designer series paper doesn't go over that score line, because you're going to be bringing this over to fold. Right, now what we are going to do is we are going to fold on this score line first, and you need to make sure that this and this lines up nice and straight here. If it means you've got to squash your paper, or at least squash your score line in a slightly different position that it wants to go in, then you do it. See, mine is very, very fractionally out, but I will flatten it into place. Okay, now we need to do the same with this one, and make sure that this lines up with that. In fact, you might find it easier to leave that bit there while you're lining it up. Okay, so that's straight, that's straight. I'm going to hold that in place and flatten that. Okay, again, I've had to put a bit of pressure on that to make it come over, but that's all folding nicely, so that's fine. Let's do the same to this one. Okay, so that one goes, and then that one goes. So you should find it all folds up really nicely. Right, so first of all we're going to put the little triangle down with some snail. And then we're going to hold the bigger triangle down with snail. Right, the first one we do is we are going to bring that one over here, and we need to adhere that down. Now you can use snail for that, but I prefer to use the tear and tape because it is stronger. Quite a lot stronger. Okay, so when you take it over, make sure that this is laying flat. Make sure this is lining up. Hold your sticky bit up until you're happy. I'm going to have to turn mine round the other way. Yep, that's right. So I'm quite happy with the way that's all lined up. Now the next one is, this has to come up here. So I need to adhere that bit down. Okay, so again I'm going to be using tear and tape. Take the backing off. And again, make sure that this comes over nice and straight before you allow that plastic, I keep calling it plastic, the sticky to go down. And that's good. And then finally we have to stick this piece down. Now if you do find that it's a bit like mine, it's pushing a bit, just bring it over as best you can so that it can't be seen there or there, and then smooth it down. But everything should line up beautifully. In fact, this is the first time I've had this bit happen to me. So what I'm going to do, in fact it's quite good that it's happened, because if it happens to you, this is what I would recommend you do to sort that out. I can just about see that back bit up over the front here. Okay, so I'm going to trim that off. I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to take like a little mitre off. Okay, so that's all I've done there. Alright, now that will go over and it won't be seen. Mine's going onto a card, so that bit's not going to show. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to adhere that down and that. I'm leaving this one open because that's the other, it's like a secret compartment, that one, if you like. That's the one where you can put the gift card in. So I only do these two sides. I don't worry about putting that to stick onto that one. Now what I did to keep things nice and easy, I lifted up this, but only about an inch, inch and a half, and folded it over, just as I do when I'm layering, adhering my layers, because I don't want to have to worry about that sticking down while I'm trying to do this bit. Okay, so make sure that that's nice and straight, and then as you're going, push it through, and that's it. Now you can just pull that. Pull it carefully, because if it breaks you'll have a hard time trying to get hold of it. But there we go. So there's the little pockets. Okay, we've still got the ribbons to do, so that will have that. And there's still the room there to do. In fact, that makes it a bit easier actually to get to that, because it's not, because there's a gap there now. So that's a lot easier. So that was a happy mistake. Right, so let's pop this onto our card. I did think about putting a white layer under it, but I decided that it really didn't need it. And I'm going to use Tombow to do this. But just be careful that Tombow doesn't come up above this piece here if you want to use that secret pocket part. There we go. Tweezers. I've obviously got a blind spot for tweezers, haven't I? I can't. Oh yes, there those. Take this. Oh, there they are. Look, hiding in between two blocks. Right. So just pop that in the centre. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways that you could embellish this. you know, it might be quite nice to have a strip of a colour there so that you could see the gap between these two. That was one idea that I'd seen with some of the pockets. Now for this one I am adhering that just there so that it doesn't come over this diagonal, and that's going to be Tombow. And I think the only thing I need to do next is just put the ribbons in the bookmarks. Oh no, I need a little bit of bling. There we go, that's that. I normally use pearls when I'm doing flowers, but I don't know why, I just feel that oh no, I did them on the ends of these, didn't I? I just feel that these are a bit more obvious on this card. So I'm just putting these on the end of where there's like a little line of flowers. And I think the other one went in there, didn't it? Yeah, because I ran out of flowers. It just made it look nicely balanced then. So that's that. Right, the ribbon that I'm using is absolutely gorgeous, and I haven't used it yet, but it's our what do they call this? Two-way? Reversible. Yeah, reversible ribbon. It's like it's polyester, but it's very much like satin, and it's Granny Apple Green on one side and Coastal Cabana on the other. Really gorgeous. Right, so I'm going to cut about 8 inches, I think. Where's my ribbon scissors? I suppose what I could do one with blue on the outside and one with green on the outside. So when I put ribbons through these, what I do is I make myself what I call the breast cancer bow. So I've got, in fact it's great having this, so I've got both the green ones facing up, and I make sure they both stay facing up, and then that bit I push through that, make sure both the green ones staying upwards, and then I put them through the loop, and then the blue slides down. Now because this is such a slippery ribbon, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 2 glue dots. One of them I am going to slip underneath the ribbon at the back here. In fact I might use 2 at the back here and then 1 at the front. Okay, so there's 1 under there. And I have sort of folded that up. Just make sure that comes over nice and tight. That's it. And then I'd put 1 underneath that, like crossbar. And that will make sure that my ribbon does not go anywhere. Don't really like folding it when I'm doing it on the front here because it will be visible as a bump. I can't undo that because it's... Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. If this is visible, then I can always put a rhinestone on top of it. There we go. There we go, that's alright. So just trim these off. And then that will go into there. Okay, I want that a bit shorter as well. That's it. So another 8 inches and then we're all done. And this one I'm going to do with the green showing out. When we were kids, we were always told blue and green should never be seen. We always retaliated with blue and green are fit for a queen. Silly things kids do, eh? Right, so I'm putting the green one through this time. This is amazingly soft, this ribbon. Really beautiful. And don't let it twist or anything. That's it. Right, so we have 2 from the back. These ones it's quite okay to fold. Once you've got the first one down, pull the next one tight. That's it, in you go. And then just one underneath the crossbar. Oops, come back. I just fold it in half, try not to roll it right up. Slide it in, hold it down, pull. There we go, beautiful. So, ribbon scissors right under your fingers. That one. And that one. That pops into there. Oh, that's good. Look at that, blue and green. Love that. So what would you do if you had a third one in there? Probably do, I don't know, 2 ribbons. So there we go. Before I finish, I want to just show you one of the early ones that I made. But don't tell anybody, because this one I'm going to be giving to my son-in-law. Oops. Now there's a tip for you. I'll come back to my son-in-law. I die cut these letters, which is from a retired set of dies of Stampin' Up, and I used our self-adhesive sheets, multi-purpose self-adhesive sheets, but they had been sitting on my windowsill in the sunshine, and it's not a good idea because they do lose their sticky if you do that. I've now moved them out of the way, but I'm going to probably have to go back and give that, go over it with glue. And this is an example of, I said to you, if you use a directional pattern, you'll find this one will go one way and that will go in the other direction. It's okay with aeroplanes because they go all directions, but it just shows you what I mean. And I will be redoing these because I don't like the butterflies. But otherwise everything is the same, but more masculine. And this is a retired ribbon as well, but I do that for personal things. So move that one out of the way. So there we go. Let's bring that one in as well. That's a retired one. That's my first one. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you give it a try as well. And all the products that I've used and the measurements, all the score lines, etc., will be in the box below the video, which, as I say, you must you can only approach it via YouTube. It's only accessible via YouTube. Also in the box below there'll be a link to my online Stampin' Up shop, so anything that you'd like to buy but not retired products, all of these are current, so you can buy all of these. There'll be a link in my shop, and I'd appreciate it if you chose me to be your demonstrator to supply your goods. And if you have enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click the subscribe button, which you will see down there in the right hand corner, and then click on the bell, and that will mean that you'll get email notifications when I do upload a new one, which is normally twice a week. And I forgot to say, if you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave those in the box below as well. I'm always happy to help, and I do enjoy reading your feedback. So many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.